This is Amar, the founder of Amar-VR Law, a Canadian law firm that specializes in video game law. I help developers negotiate contracts in the video game industry. Today, we'll be going through some big issues that you should be aware of before you sign that agreement with the publishing company. I'll also suggest some counteroffer tips to help you negotiate a better deal. If you're still in the early stages of your game's development, it can be helpful to have an experienced publisher involved in the process. They can help provide funding, connection to distributors, and help with decision making. This is usually done through a contract called a publishing or a development agreement. But if a publishing agreement has restrictive terms that give the publisher too much control, you might feel like you're losing your say in your game's development. You can actually work together with the publisher and develop a game that takes both parties' interests into consideration. Look for terms that include approval rights for the development team. Approval rights allow the developer to approve or disapprove of major decisions before the publisher puts them into action. Likewise, you might see publisher approval rights, which allow them the same decision-making power when it comes to things like marketing or distribution. This is a fair way to provide each party with some control over the end product and protect both parties' interests. A video game lawyer can help review the terms of your publishing agreement and negotiate approval rights that benefit you. Reach out to a video game lawyer if you're worried about losing creative control of your game. No matter what the publisher offers you, don't sign the agreement without a clear understanding of who owns the video game, its creative assets, and how you'll make money. If a publisher is providing funding, it's common for them to include a clause that grants them the ownership of any intellectual property or IP that your team creates. As the creator of these assets, your team may also want to retain ownership over the IP. Fortunately, publishers tend to be flexible when it comes to IP ownership. So if you're willing to compromise on other terms, you might still be able to take the deal and still own the IP. You can offer publishers favorable licensing terms for your IP, ownership of only the assets that they directly funded, or right of first refusal for sequels and derivative works. There are a variety of concessions they can make to work with you. IP ownership is an important factor that you'll need to negotiate prior to signing the publishing deal. Publishers have a lot of money and legal expertise to protect their interests. If you feel inexperienced or intimidated at the thought of negotiating with them, reach out to a video game lawyer. They can negotiate better terms and get you the best deal possible. A publishing agreement can include several types of payment terms. The first is called an advance, which is a sum of money provided to the developer either in a lump sum or over time through achieved milestones. Sometimes the publisher will want the advance to be recouped before the developer receives any game revenue. Depending on success or failure of your game, you might either hit the jackpot or not see a single penny. That's why it's important to understand exactly how the advance payment works before accepting the agreement. You also need to consider the terms for revenue splitting, which sometimes only take place after the advance is recouped by the publisher. Revenue splitting terms need to state what percentage of revenues from the video game sales will go to the publisher and the developer. If you don't have terms for an advance, try to negotiate a higher revenue percentage, since the publisher won't have any upfront costs. You can also consider a tiered revenue structure that increases your revenue percentage based on the number of copies you sell. Payment terms are one of the most important things to consider when negotiating a publishing agreement. You should always have a video game lawyer help you hash out the compensation details. Otherwise, you risk losing potential income for yourself and for your team. I hope this video gave you a few things to think about before signing on the dotted line. Be sure to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. We're here to help make sure that you get the best publishing terms for you and your team. I'm Amar, the video game lawyer. See you soon.